did we let it get this far? Like, seriously. We sat up here and allowed it to get to this point. We let it get this far. This is unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable that we let this get this far. What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Houston Texans football. I know a lot of y'all out here like, man, Spence, what's going on, man? You ain't did nothing since the whole Nick Casario video. Like, Deshaun out here wanting to trade, and Andre out here tweeting, and Jack used to be just running amok, and Cal not saying nothing, and Deshaun doing cryptic rap tweets and all that. Yeah, I did a video after the Andre Johnson tweet, but it didn't come out right. It kind of was messed up a little bit, so that's the reason why I didn't post it. And to be honest with you, it's been news dropping damn near every single day. And luckily, like for the past couple of days, it's been slow, and I actually think that's a good sign. The reason why it's been slow, I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I'm like, okay, this is probably the best time for me to go ahead and catch up and basically say all my little thoughts and tell exactly what I think is going on with this franchise. And to be honest, I think this is one of the worst ran franchises in sports. The reason why you allow this situation to happen and to go on as long as it's going on. I've been saying this from the jump. When you have a quarterback, it don't have to be a franchise great quarterback like Deshaun Watson, just your starting quarterback, period. If your starting quarterback is out here even talking to his brother, just at home, nobody else knows. He's not talking to his agent. He's just talking to his brother like, hey, bro, I think I might want out. I think I might want to get traded from my team. I think I want to go somewhere else. When that happens, you have a problem. You have an underlying problem on your hand. The reason why is because the quarterback's supposed to be the leader. No matter how good or bad the quarterback is, if an actual legitimate starting quarterback of an NFL team is a leader of that team, if that quarterback is not bought in, them other 52 men on that roster ain't gonna be bought in as well. So if you don't have him bought into the situation, if he not bought in and sold on the product, how you expect the rest of your organization is? Hence, it being ran it is being ran poorly. And this is something that's been going on from the longest. It's been going on for the longest. Like I've been saying this since last year, that you don't blame the trash man for getting in the kitchen and cooking and messing up the meal. You don't blame the trash man for messing up the meal. You blame the person who allowed the trash man in the kitchen to cook the said meal. You blame Cal McNair for allowing Bill O'Brien to mess up this roster and allowing Jack Easterby to run amok through this franchise. That's who you blame, and that's exactly what Deshaun Watson doing. He's holding Cal McNair accountable. And it dates back, it dates all the way back to 2017. It really does, because that's the first time the first inkling that we seen that this franchise allowed personal problems get in the way of actual football decisions. We all know the incident between Bob McNair and Dwayne Brown, him throwing up his fist at the Patriot game in 2016 during the national anthem. Bob had issue and problem with that. Then when it came to the next year, when Dwayne Brown wanted some more money, wanted some guaranteed money, he had no guaranteed money on his contract. It was a rip because they really didn't want to pay it because of the issues that they had. Then the whole inmates running the prison came out, and then a statement came out, and then Dwayne Brown was extremely vocal. One, because he was already mad about how his contract situation was going on, and then he already had felt sideways feelings because of the private conversation that him and Mr. McNair had. And it boiled down and brought it down to that, and it basically allows you to trade him to the Seattle Seahawks. But you could kind of make a case for it, even though he's a top left tackle, he is in his early to mid 30s, and we have a young franchise quarterback that we just drafted. We might want to go younger, so you can kind of make a case for it. It was still dumb, but you could kind of make a case for it. Bring it back to 2019 when you allow Clowney, when you trade Clowney for some third-round picks. Everybody said the same thing. That's trash. That's stupid. That's a bad decision. You're not getting the right equity for him. But in my personal opinion, like I say, I think that Clowney's the best run stopper in the NFL. Not an elite pass rusher. He wants to get paid elite pass rusher money. And everybody, except for my boy Wink, shout out to Third Coast Sports TV, Wink is the only one that I know of that actually was willing to give Clowney $100 million. Nobody else is really on that train. So you kind of, we really can't afford or really want to give him $100 million because he's not an elite pass rusher. So it's a bad trade, but at least we get something for him. So you can cut the door. It ain't all the way open, but it's creeping open. Then March 16, 2020 happens. You trade away the best receiver in the NFL. The door ain't just swing open. It flew off the motherfucking hinges. Like the door flew straight off the damn hinges. Once that happened, everything's for go. Everything is possible. There's no door there no more. There ain't no more door. It's a wide open space. You know what that means? That means anything can happen. That's is what's scaring the living daylights out of us Texan fans. Because any other thing, we can sit up here and be like, he a franchise quarterback, he led the league in passing. We've been waiting 17 years for a franchise quarterback. We would never. We can sit up here and say it until we blue in the face. We can sit up here and say it blue to the face. But Dwayne Brown, Jadeveon Clowney, and DeAndre Hopkins tell you otherwise, which means anything can happen with this franchise. And you might be like, that's a different regime, different people pulling the trigger. Really though? I mean, Dwayne Brown is definitely, it was different regime and different people pulling the trigger. But that Clowney and Hopkins, I think the main culprit is still in the building. I think the main culprit is still in the building. That he might have been the one who signed off and finished the trade, but he's the one that put the idea in certain people's heads. And because of that, that scares us Texans fans, because that's a situation that you don't want to be in. You just don't want to be in. Because that's a huge problem. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the NFL proudly presents you the world's worst franchise in sports with Jake Jack the Snake Easterby and Cal, who don't know what he's doing McNair, the Houston Texans. That's the problem that we have. Those two guys right there who seem like they're in complete control, and they completely botched and messed up not only this franchise, but the situation. This thing was completely savable. This thing was completely 100% avoidable from the beginning. Do you know the Houston Texans were the first team to fire their coach? This job has been open since October. And yet, today, the Texans are the only job that's left open. They're the only job that's left open. Again, I think the situation can be salvageable. But this is the problem that we have. Because the reason why they're the only job left is because of their own doing. It's completely because of their own doing. See, they went to Deshaun Watson and they asked him his opinion. Deshaun Watson gave some names of recommendation. I think he gave out Eberflus. I think he gave out Salah. But most importantly, he gave out Eric Bieniemy. And he's mentioned Eric Bieniemy several times. All Deshaun wanted was the guy to get a shot. The moment that they hired Nick Caserio, when they was on the private jet, Cal could call Deshaun Watson like, hey Deshaun, no, you about to go on vacation, you about to go Cabo and do your thing. I just want to let you know that we are thinking about hiring Nick Caserio, and click. Cool. If they would have interviewed Airbnb when they interviewed everybody else, cool. They could hire whoever they want to hire. Because I don't think it was EB or nothing in the beginning. I just think Deshaun wanted him to get looked at, get an opportunity. If the Texans would have interviewed Airbnb in the beginning and interviewed all other candidates that they interviewed, and then end up hiring somebody else who I think they would have hired, I think they would have hired Joe Brady. I think that's who they really want to hire. If they would hire Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator from the Carolina Panthers, if they would hire Joe Brady and be like, hey, look, Deshaun, we interviewed Airbnb, we interviewed such. We think that our direction is better fit, our situation is better fit for Joe Brady. Deshaun Watson, grown ass man. He been like, okay, I want Airbnb, but if y'all think y'all might want to go in a different direction, all right, cool, I understand. Let's get it. You kept him in the loop. If you would have kept him in the loop, and you would have did right by your word and actually interviewed other people and interviewed the person that he recommends, your franchise quarterback, none of this would happen. Texas would have been had a head coach. Everything would have been gravy. But no, what the Texans did, it shows why I say they are the worst ran for franchise in sports. They bossed the situation from the jump. You the first team to fire your head coach / general manager. One, you should never gave your head coach a general manager job in the first place. But you fired your coach back in October, and yet here we are in the middle of January and you still don't have no head coach. The team who fired their coach a week after the season ended hired a head coach already, and yet still you have not hired a head coach. The reason why is because Deshaun Watson is basically forcing your hand. If Deshaun Watson went out here doing what he was doing and sending all the cryptic tweets and all that other stuff, once again, the Texans probably would have hired their head coach. But because of that, they have to start saving face now. They have to save face, have to wheel everything back in to make sure that they keep Deshaun Watson in the fold. And that leads you to have right here. Now I think it is Airbnb or nothing. I think that's the only way to save this relationship. I think the relationship can get saved but you have to hire Airbnb. I think the only other person you could only other person outside Airbnb that you could hire that probably would save the situation would be Dabo Swinney. I'm not saying that they would hire Dabo Swinney. All I'm saying is if they offer Dabo Swinney the job, Deshaun Watson will fly his private jet to go pick up Dabo. That's all I'm saying. Deshaun will get in his private jet to fly to Clemson to go pick up Dabo if that was to happen. So outside of that, the only way that you're gonna be able to rectify the situation is hire Airbnb. And I think the Texans actually not only backed themselves into a corner, they might back themselves into a good situation. Now, on Deshaun Watson's front, this is the first time in the Texans franchise history that the Texans have made this much national noise. We didn't make this much national noise when we was winning football games. We was 12-4. The year that we had the best defense in the NFL in 16, we didn't make this type of noise. The year that we, the 12-4 season, we started off 11-1. We weren't making this type of noise. The moment we drafted Deshaun Watson, we weren't making this type of noise. Nothing in our franchise history has ever come close to the national attention that has happened, but it's all negative towards the Houston Texans. Nothing positive, nothing good. It's all negative. And every single day, for the past couple of days, anytime Deshaun Watson tweets out something, they have to talk about it. And Deshaun Watson, it's become 24-hour Deshaun Watson tweet watch. And it gets to the point, if Deshaun Watson, he could go ahead right now and tweet, you know what, I really want some crawfish. Oh, he wants some crawfish? He want to go to New Orleans. He want to be a Saint. He could tweet out, you know what, I really want to go gamble. I want to go to a casino. Hey, he want to go to the casino? Hey, he want to go to Vegas. Hey, Deshaun Watson to the Raiders. He can say out there and tweet, you know what, I so like NASCARs. The Indy 500 be lit. Oh, Indy 500, he want to be a coach. Like, that's the problem that we have. Like, no matter what Deshaun Watson tweets out, they going to find a way to flip it and spin it to flip and spin to the way they want to flip it to. And it's that situation that we have. No matter what Deshaun Watson says, it's going to get picked up by the national media, and it's going to be spinning their direction. How all these talks are talking about how Deshaun Watson's throwing his last pass for the Texans. It is possible. I don't think so, because I do think they have no choice right now, because all the other candidates are gone. They really don't have a real choice to hire but to hire Airbnb. Or they could hire whoever they want to hire from the jump. If they're not going to hire Airbnb, they could hire whoever they want to hire already. That's the one thing that I'm thinking about. Like, well, they not hired nobody yet. They the last team with a job, so this is everybody else. This Airbnb, Eberflus or Leslie Frazier or whoever else is available. The Texans job is the last chance they can have a job for the 2021 season, unless something happens to one of these other teams that's playing in the playoffs, which I doubt that happens. So unless something crazy happens, the Texans job is the last chance they'd be a head coach for the 2021 season. So if the Texans are not going to hire Airbnb and just continually alienate your quarterback, which is the one thing you don't do, they would have done it already, in my opinion. I think they would have done it already. That's the reason why I think they're going to go ahead and hire Airbnb. And it's kind of hard to hire them because the Chiefs are still playing. And that's another thing, too. Because they backed themselves into a corner by not interviewing Airbnb, and then turn around and interview them, and then they kind of put themselves on hold because they still playing. If they would have interviewed them early, they could have brought them in during the bye week and had them do a personal interview, but they didn't do that. So everything is botched. And now that you extended the interview, you can't go hire. They couldn't have hired nobody else before they actually got a chance to interview them, because it definitely would make that interview look fake and looking like it just make you look even worse. It will make you look even worse off in the eyes of public opinion, which they really can't save face no more outside of hiring Airbnb. Hiring Airbnb is the only way they can save face, and it's the only way they can make this franchise look somewhat competent. But it's not, because you allow Jack Easter to be like with I think it was John McClain talked about it last week, that Cal said that Jack ain't going nowhere. After everybody's out here talking about fire Jack, and Andre out here tweeting about how bad the situation is since Jack has gotten there, all the SI articles and all this type of stuff like that, and you still allowing Jack Easter to be around. This rumor's talking about that Jamie Roos wants to leave because of the power struggle between him and Jack Easterby. And Jamie Roos has been here since before the franchise was even the franchise. Back before the Texans had a name or a logo or any color scheme. He was part of this organization for over 20 years, and yet you're allowing Jack Easterby to pull the strings. This doesn't make any sense to me. And it goes back to what I've been saying from the absolute jump. If you look at any type of million or billion-dollar industry, when they get run into the ground, the story is always the same. The person who created the business pass on and leaves it to their children, and their children who don't have any dealings with that company run it to the ground. It's not like Amy Adams in Nashville, who she grew up as an Oilers fan. So she grew up loving the Houston Oilers and the / Tennessee Oilers and now Tennessee Titans. So when her dad passed on, she could run that franchise because it holds a dear place in her heart. Same thing with the Rooneys in Pittsburgh. Same thing with old boy that owns the Colts, like Jim Irsay. Like his dad owned the team, and he rooted for the team. And he's done a lot of weird stuff, but yet still he knows how to run the franchise because he watched that franchise. Then you have Cal, who when the Texans were made back in 2002, because the youngest franchise in the NFL, when the Texans were made, he was already a grown man, past grown, and then he wasn't even part of the organization the first 5-6 years of the organization. He was in Dallas running one of Bob Mendel's other companies. He had nothing to do with the Texans until I think 2008, 2009 when he came in and started trying to learn some of the stuff. By the time it was too late, he didn't have no interest in his team. I don't think he has an interest in sports, to be honest with you. He doesn't know football, and that's fine. You don't have to know football. But surround yourself around people who do. Like when he created the whole committee, and it's supposed to be Andre Johnson and Tony Dungy and all these other people and like stuff like that that's supposed to help the dude from the Spurs. All these people supposed to have been helping him come up with get a plan to get a coach and also to get a general manager. And you let Jack Easterby step in the middle. All that was fake, obviously. That's when he decided to do that, and the people that he claimed was going to be on the committee. I'm like, all right, cool. You finally get it. You finally surround yourself around sports people who knows football, people who know sports. And then the guy that runs the R.C. Buford, who runs the Spurs, a guy who knows how to create and run a dynasty. Even though it's basketball, but he still has that same pedigree. Jimmy Johnson, Super Bowl winning a coach who created a dynasty in Dallas. When he did that, I'm like, all right, cool. He finally gets it. But no, he doesn't. And then he also allowed Jack Easterby to constantly waste money for him. Remember, Jack Easterby gets it. He fires Brian Gaines. Now he fires Bill O'Brien, but that's more so Bill O'Brien's doing, not Jack Easterby. And then he goes out there and pays a law firm hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. I don't know exactly how much that law firm charged him, but to find general manager and to give a general manager recommendation and coach recommendations. And then he gets the recommendations and then don't follow through. So you basically just waste what you pay them for if you're not going to follow through with their recommendation. I ain't saying you got to hire everybody on the list, but you're not hiring nobody that they offering you. Why did you even pay him for? You just wasted your money. Jack Easterby is allowing him to waste money. Like I said, he's still paying Brian Gaines. So right now he's paying Brian Gaines, Bill O'Brien, Nick Caserio, and whoever the Knicks head coach is. That's who he's going to be paying 4 people. 4 different people, and only 2 of them working for the franchise. He's paying 4 different. This coming up season, he's going to be paying 4 different people hefty salaries, but only 2 of them are still employed by the franchise. Like, and not to mention, you wasted more money with the law firm. Like Jack, again, a horrible ran franchise. We could talk about the Lions, we could talk about the Browns, we could talk about Tampa Bay, we could talk about all these other franchises that have been known to be bad. And I get to understand that. But like Andre Johnson said, the Houston Texans waste talent. See, these other guys, other teams ain't really had no talent. I know Detroit has Megatron and had Barry Sanders, but they retired. And yeah, they didn't really get the playoff runs that they should have. But we've had one of the best receivers of our generation, wasted in Andre. Foster, one of the best running backs of our generation, wasted. Now I know this comes more so with injury. J.J. Watt, one of the best defensive players that we've seen in the last 20 years, basically he's about to be wasted. Hopkins, who's the best receiver in the league, was on his trajectory of being wasted until we got Deshaun. But then you got rid of him, and now we have Deshaun Watson. You have JJ after the last game telling Deshaun Watson, I'm sorry, man, we wasted 1 of your years. Quarterback who led the league in passing, 2nd in quarterback rating, 3rd in completion percentage, led the league in yards per attempt, and also, like I said, he had 44 less attempts than the second person in Patrick Mahomes, who who's second in passing yards. He had 44 less attempts. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 44 more times than Deshaun Watson and still had less yards. That's a game and a half worth of pass attempts. That's a game and a half worth of pass. I know Patrick Mahomes ain't played the last game of the season. I get that. But he still had a game and a half more pass attempts than Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson still threw for more yards. Broke the franchise record for the most yards and most touchdowns. And also broke the franchise record for the most Pro Bowls by a quarterback. Matt Schaub only had 2. Deshaun Watson has 3 consecutive Pro Bowls. And this guy's not happy. The only person in the whole building, the whole person in NRG you gotta keep happy is him. And basically it seems like it's going to boil down to you're going to pick Jack Easterby over Deshaun Watson. Like I say, the situation can be salvageable if they do the right thing and hire Airbnb. Again, Airbnb was not my number 1 or my number 2 because my number 1 was Lincoln Riley. My number 2 was Byron Leftwich. And as of right now, it is Airbnb because I think right now in Deshaun Watson's mind, it is Airbnb a bust. I think earlier it wasn't. Early on in the process, I don't think it was Airbnb a bust. But I think in this situation here, it's come down to that. They basically forced Deshaun Watson's hands. And Deshaun Watson has an out. Yeah, he has a perfect out. That's the reason why he has yet to ask for a trade because once you ask for that trade, you can't go back. Like once the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put it back in. And he has completely deniability when the season starts and they start asking him about the situation. He'd be like, "Well, I didn't say anything. I never said anything about me wanting to be traded. I mean, I tweeted out some rap lyrics because it's my favorite songs. I like Future, but I never said nothing. My agent never said nothing. Like none of my relatives ever said anything. Like that's just stuff that people putting out there in the media. That's exactly what he's gonna say if he's still a Houston Texan, and that's the reason why he has yet to say officially, "I want out," because. Now, he playing with a little bit. Yeah, he out there sending tweets. He playing with. I ain't gonna lie. He put a little extra jelly in because he know what he's doing. He trolling. I understand. He know what he's doing. That's 2021 for you. That's exactly what's gonna go down in this day and age. So I understand. I get that. I think he's mad. Yeah, I think he's mad. I think he's mad. I think he feels disrespected because he feels like his opinion don't matter in a situation where my opinion should matter. Like not to put on no selfishness, but come on, man. We only won 4 games this year. As good as I played. In the games that we should have won, we lost. If I wasn't on that field, how many wins do you really think the Texans were going to win? Seriously. I give you 1 at best. I really think they'd be 0-16. They might have been able to beat Detroit. They could have maybe beat Detroit, maybe, possibly, because even though Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller balled all in that game, the defense actually played well, too. You know, JJ had the pick 6 and all the stuff that happened in that game. So, possibly, yeah, there's a possibility they probably could have, possibly, beat Detroit. Maybe. I don't know. But the rest of them games, they wouldn't have. The other 3, they would have lost both times against the Jags, and they would have lost to the Patriots if Deshaun Watson wasn't playing. So, mind you, and still, if Deshaun Watson was not there and you didn't have a first-round pick, you had the number 1 pick in the draft, 1 baby pick. Jack Easterby, Bill O'Brien. Again, the worst ran franchise in all the sports, not just the NFL. This is basketball. This is baseball. This is soccer. This is hockey. This is little league. This is minor league. All the other franchises in all the sports right now the Houston Texans are ran the worst. The reason why is because of the owner allowing an outsider to make all football and personal decisions that don't make any sense. And he's not letting it go. But it can be fixed if they allow Airbnb in the building. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.